Hi, dear Astro lovers. Today we are gonna start working through 2025 and 26 as well, actually. So every 2, 3 days, I will be posting a video about 2025, 26. We're gonna start with Neptune in the sign of Aries. Next time, I'm going to be talking about the Neptune Uranus sextile. And then we're gonna be looking at Saturn in the sign of Aries. We're going to be looking at the Saturn-Neptune cycles overall. And of course, we're going to be looking at the nodal changes and so forth. So what I recommend doing is sign up for my channel because you will get loads of materials to get you ready for 2025-26. These 2 years are big ones. There's a lot of drama involved, most likely. And at the same time, there could be some positive energies as well. So I will try to shed light on these archetypes from a positive and a negative point of view as well. This year, I'm going to be changing the format a little bit. So I'm going to be making these general videos first. And the next month, I will be just doing one video for each sign. It's going to be a longer prediction, a little bit of a summary of what you can be expecting in 2025. So it's worth signing up on my YouTube channel because you will get a lot of preparation. So ring the notification bell, like the channel so that you can get updated as the next 2 years are truly big. It's going to be as big as 2020, I'm telling you. And I recommend staying till the very end of the video as it will be packed with loads of information. And at the same time, if you want to get more personalized YouTube videos, then I recommend signing up onto my YouTube membership program also, where you will get additional videos, weekly forecast, breakdown for each sign, sometimes a free webinar as well, depending on the tier that you choose. So I think it's a great deal. And on top of that, I've got a promotion running as well. You get 30% discount on my readings and 40 on my courses and webinars. So I think if you want to know what is going to be happening to you in 25, 26, then you might want to book a reading with me. Currently, I've got availabilities in October and onwards. So I recommend checking out my website as well, AstroViktor.com. Now, let's get going. Why did I choose Neptune in the sign of Aries first? Well, one of the reasons why I've chosen this topic is because Neptune has reached already 29 degree of Pisces, almost shifted into the sign of Aries, but then it turned retrograde. So we can have certain type of feelings already what Neptune in Aries will bring for us. I know that Neptune and Saturn will be making a conjunction on 0 degree of Aries. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I will be doing one separate on that too. I thought it was going to be easier because remember, at the end of the day, I'm also a teacher. So I want to teach you how to think about astrology rather than just giving you certain type of predictions. So if we break down Neptune in Aries and Saturn in Aries, and then we talk about historically the Saturn-Neptune cycle, then we might be able to understand this on a global level as well as on a personal level a lot better. So Neptune spent approximately 14 years in one sign. So basically from 2025 March until 2039, Neptune will be in the sign of Aries. In and out though, because it will be going back into the sign of Pisces at one point, and I'm going to be giving you certain dates as well. And in 2038, yes, Neptune will be shifting into the sign of Taurus, but then it's going to be back in the sign of Aries again. So overall, 2025 to 2039, Neptune will be in the sign of Aries. Now, I have made 3 webinars on Neptune so far. So I'm just going to be listing some of the meanings of Neptune in this video, but if you want to learn more about Neptune, then check them out. I will put them in a bundle in case you are curious about it. I did one on Neptune as your false belief system, Neptune in love, 2 rulers of Pisces, Neptune and Jupiter. What are the colorations and differences between them two? And Neptune as the higher octave of Venus as well. And I will be preparing actually a few more webinars on Neptune in October. One is going to be Neptune in politics. The other one is Neptune as the planet of glamour and artistry. And then Neptune and its connection to psychology. So stay tuned. Loads of Neptunian topics are coming your way. By the way, these webinars are free of charge for my level 3 subscribers and members. So let's get you the dates. Neptune enters the sign of Aries on the 30th of March, 2025. It retrogrades back into Pisces on 22nd of October. And then re-enters Aries on 26th of January 2026. And then it's going to be dipping into the Taurus on 21st of May 2038. And then final entry into the sign of Aries is 21st of October 2038. And then it's basically going to be leaving Aries on the 23rd of March 2039. Now, Neptune is very interesting, by the way. Neptune is the planet of ideas. And Neptune in, let's talk about Neptune in Pisces just for 2 sentences, which was between April 2012 till, pretty much December 2025. And, if we start thinking about this a little bit, it's pretty much started with, for example, but not even talking about Neptune in Pisces. Let's talk about Neptune in Scorpio to start with. Neptune in Scorpio started with Disneyland coming around and then ended up with pornography. We're talking about 1956 to 1970. The 1970-1984, we had Neptune in Sagittarius. It started with spiritual movements, ended up with a religious massacre. I'm talking about the Johnstown one. Then we had the 1984-1998 Capricorn period, which we are going to be talking about in the Saturn-Neptune conjunction because the latest conjunction happened in the sign of Capricorn. But that was really about, banking regulations and political shifts, really. And then we had the Aquarius element, 1998, 2012. Well, it started with the widespread of internet use, introduction to Microsoft 98, Google, and all these type of things. And then it pretty much ended with the internet protest blackouts. So what I'm trying to show you with this, that it always starts a little bit ideal, something good, and then it ends up something pretty kind of nasty at the end of it. And that's the Neptune archetype here. So, first of all, I would like to mention that a planet is the verb of the chart, and the sign is the way how the planet expresses its motives. So therefore, what is Neptune? And Neptune is about imagination, invisibility. It wants to unify, it wants to become one with the universe. It also talks to you about the subconscious, but ideas, dreams, metaphors, feeling sorry for others, compassion. We can actually feel guilt as well with Neptune. Or Neptune is the planet of suffer, giving up, running away from something, escapism, but also the dissolutions of boundaries. Neptune is the planet of narcissism as well. Self-deception, hospitals, oils, shoes, leggings, oceans, dreams, Of course, one of the major meanings of Neptune is spirituality and religion. Neptune says that we all come from the same place. There is this universal place somewhere, and we all belong there. So we should not be dividing people into two, three groups, and so forth. But also, it's the planet of betrayer, glamour. Neptune is your inner muses. And there are many other meanings, but I don't want to list, things here because I think it's pointless. We've got a good 20 meaning of Neptune, so let's make use of them. Now, we will look at the ingress of Neptune as that will describe a lot about what to expect. So we're going to be looking at where the dispositor of Neptune is, therefore Mars, and so forth. By the way, Mars, the very first time, with the very first ingression is going to be in the sign of Cancer on 23 degree. Now that's really interesting to start with because Mars is retrograding soon around those degrees. At the end of 2024, sorry, and obviously the beginning of 2025. So actually, this 6 to 9 months ahead of us will show us a lot what to expect from the ingress of Neptune in the sign of Aries. So what is Aries archetype? Well, that's something we can talk a lot about, actually, and I'm going to be talking about it quite a lot. First of all, this is a fire sign. This is a cardinal sign. So when we start talking about what a fire is about passion, motivation, but also something to do with purification as well at the same time. So it is the sign of renewal to a certain extent. And this is important, I think, to remember, because surely this could talk to us about how, for example, spirituality is going to get renewed. Also, Aries is the beginning of spring. I mean, we are talking about Western astrology here, and the path of the sun determines the seasonal changes. And those are represented by the cardinal signs. So Aries is one of the cardinal signs, and that's actually talking to us about the beginning of spring, when things start becoming alive pretty much. Uh, but Aries is basically happening, birthday wise from the 20th of March till about the 20th of April. So obviously Aries is about enthusiasm. So hopefully you are very enthusiastic about this video because I have prepared quite a lot for it. Aries is the warrior, the fighter, the pioneer. The lower vibration is that it can become very impulsive. It is also thinking that no winning without taking risks in life. It is a fire starter. Aries is I want something. I am who I am. Take it or go away. They are instinctual. Aries is the entrepreneur, the hero in the action movie, actually. But also with Neptune being there, but this is the martyr who is actually sacrificed for the greater good. Both Neptune and Aries has got the sacrificial type of nature. So it is telling me that there are going to be these heroic movements, but we're going to talk about them a lot more. When you think about that, Aries is about spring. The flowers start blossoming. We're talking about the awakening of animals as well. This is the first sign. So it is telling us that something needs to be done. We have to let go of something, especially with Neptune. We leave something behind. In spring, we start planting the seed. And that needs nurturing. Look at that Mars in the sign of Cancer. We are trying to nurture something there. This is a fertile sign in a way because represents beginning, the beginning of life, the birth, the inner child within us. And just imagine when the child doesn't get what they want, they throw tantrums. A child is actually very open to the world. They are actually more active than an adult. So Aries represents activities and movement as well at the same time. A child wants to explore the world, but they want to have the attention of the mom as well all the time. I want someone to keep an eye on me. So that's where this unification with Neptune comes into the picture. I feel strong when there are kind of like-minded people around me. Aries is the birth. A birth is actually a fight if you really think about it. We have no idea about life. We are honest, we are raw, we are vulnerable in a sense, but we are crying when we need attention. Neptune is the planet of crying. So it looks to me that with Neptune in Aries, there is going to be a lot of crying going on. As well as, a mom's job is to protect the child, and the child feels threatened. So they cry because they need protection from the mom all the time. The child believes that we belong together with the mom. We are inseparable. And mommy leaves the room, the child is going to be screaming out loud because they feel violated. By the way, Mars is the ruler of Aries. And it's interesting that Mars comes from the word Marut, the god of wind, the protector of fire as well at the same time. And Mars, which is actually, it rules March. It's pretty much about marching forward. So Aries wants to move forward. When it comes to colors, for example, to Aries, it represents red, blood color. So imagine that with Neptune, basically the discoloration of the ocean. This could talk about kind of like the sea army, the ocean army. So we're talking about obviously water strength here somehow. It's kind of like when the oranges are floating on the sea, you know, that's the Aries archetype. Um, so when Aries, it wants to start something new. It wants to be brave. It wants to stand up for something, especially for themselves. It is it is ready to go in rivalry to protect something. But even when you're lighting up a cigarette, that's kind of like an Aries archetype as well, actually. Or when the sun rises, that's an Aries archetype also. Or when you do something around the fireplace, Aries archetype. Or when you walk on fire. Or when you are running or chasing something or someone, Aries archetype. When you are in certain type of arguments, Aries. But also when you do marketing, to gain more clients. That's very much Aries archetype as well, because Aries is about promotions. So with Neptune, which is, by the way, one of the planets that is associated with social media, we're going to have a lot of advertisements going on, surely. It's going to be probably unbelievably a lot. But when it comes to Aries, it runs, but it only does short distance though. Also, when you try to get out of a situation, that's an Aries archetype as well. And with Neptune, most likely there is this running away from certain type of danger. That's a possibility. If I wanted to describe Aries archetype through movies, then actually the Karate Kid that might be coming into my mind. Obviously, there are those young kids, and then they feel threatened. So there is no other choice but to learn Muay Thai or karate or whatever they want to be learning. And it's very interesting because Neptune in Aries is very much about kind of like the spiritual warrior. That's about martial art, really. Or Mars in Pisces, that's another manifestation of martial art. So it looks to me that martial art is going to be growing quite significantly. By the way, it's very interesting that MMA fight has started growing quite significantly in the recent years, in the last couple of years, more than any other fights, by the way. So, Aries, what else we want to say about Aries? First of all, when it comes to sport, for example, because Aries also represents sports, it's about winning. It's about the Olympic Games. Well, with Neptune, it feels like that there are going to be different categories coming up, and it's going to be more gender fluid, or there are going to be free gender kind of categories coming up. Um, Aries is more about individual sport, by the way. So such things as car racing, sprinting, boxing, strikers in football, and all those type of stuff. But let's talk about the psychological side of Aries a little bit, about the inner world. So obviously we have got someone who has just arrived and wants to gain experience and wants to prove the point. They want to show that they are worthy. Therefore, they don't listen to others when they are too, they don't listen to others. They are not cautious. They might not speak much because Aries thinks that action speaks louder. They are leaders. So they might be struggling as employees. They want to get things done. So hesitation frustrates them. They want challenge and they easily sign up for it. They want independence. They want something that they are not always sure what they will do with it. Boredom kills them and makes them depressive. You might be wondering why we are talking about all these, but it's going to make sense. Just stay till the very end. When I'm looking at Aries love language, because Neptune is one of the planets that is connected to love, by the way, especially love triangles. Then you know what? Aries expect attention. They want to be in the center. They want to be loved solely. They want praise. But they need freedom as well at the same time. They do not want anyone to tell them if something is dangerous. So this is the Aries archetype. Remember, let me talk about the fear part as well, because the detrimental ruler of Aries is actually Saturn, and Saturn will be in the sign of Aries as well. And Aries is afraid of limitation, staying in one place, codependency. When others tell them what to do or how to do things, they hate routines, boredom, harmony. Or they are afraid that someone is going to lie to them. They are afraid they're going to lose their freedom. They do not like situations when they have to be patient. Each sign has got their inner drama. We can call them as scripts. And the script of your Aries cusp of your chart is actually Mars. So wherever Aries is in your chart and the ruler of your Mars can show you the scripts, as well as the ruler of the rising sign, by the way. So Aries is programmed to win. They are usually honest, not necessarily with Neptune being in the sign of Aries, though. Therefore, they believe in the principle of fair play because they truly want to win against the best. And with Neptune, it's kind of like an ideological war because I believe in something so much that I feel like I have to go into a war zone. Yes, Aries is going to find the shortest way to victory. They need to get a gold medal. And also, Aries is about sexuality as well. They love one night stand. It's all about experiment. I had it. Now we can go and seduce someone else. They exactly know what to say. They are good at courting. They realize very quickly what the woman needs and they make it happen. When there is a challenge, they react immediately. If someone gets hurt, they were only collateral damage. I mean, this sentence is really important because Neptune is in the sign of Aries. People will get hurt. People will get caught in crossfire. Often Aries attracts women who might play the role of a virgin, agrees to things and tries to take over the control after marriage. So we all have got an Aries cusp in our chart. So Aries cusp in your chart can show where you can become the best, where you need to restart when needed, where you need to be plucking up your courage, where you need to have survival instincts. So this would be a very short kind of like description on Aries. So this, to summarize on that, survival, courage, action, war, individuation, the hero who is adventurous and goes to try life out. It's passion. So let us have a look at the positive and the negative side of Neptune in Aries. Let's combine those two. And this was something that I was thinking what to do with it. Shall I just, list the positive ones first and the negative last, or shall I finish them on a high note with the positives? So therefore, starting with the negatives and finishing off on the positives. And I decided to kind of pair them up. So one negative and one positive. And I will try to focus on mundane as well as on personal level. So the one of the positive ones is that the spiritual warrior, which I've already mentioned, people who actually really want to save the world, people who are ready to fight for the ocean, fighting for the rights of animals, promoting the cleanliness of water. It looks to me that heroes are gonna appear, trying even to save the underprivileged, but also promoting utopia as well, promoting spiritual growth, being passionate about spirituality and holistic healing. So what's the downside of this? We will have loads of spiritual warriors, and 90% of them are going to be liars because they have got their selfish motives. Aries is extremely selfish from that point of view. I believe this is going to be more present, by the way, in our lives from 26 to 28, when actually Mars will be in the sign of Aquarius, in the entry chart of Neptune into Aries, the second one. So I think that's going to be a little bit more prominent rather than next year. I just wanted to mention that. So we're gonna have those heroes who will be also making very radical decisions, and then they might, start kind of like asking for patriotism and trying to kind of like motivate you to get into war because we do that for our independence and we do that for the next generation and for our own kids and all these type of things. And some people will fall for it. Also, this could really talk to us about building certain type of spiritual communities as well. But at the same time, because, this is also something positive or negative, we need to be deciding for ourselves. But someone who is kind of like ready to be crucified, to unite people again, to make people believe that we are the same flesh and blood, or discrimination will rise quite significantly. You know, talking about these spiritual kind of like gods, let's call them that way. I am better than others. And therefore, a lot of misinformation is going to be spread, like fire, Aries. And also, you might think that you are a superhero. I am, kind of like being deluded about your own strength. Oh, I'm really strong. I'm the best. I'm going to win at all costs. And I do not care who comes in my way because I'm on a winning strike and I'm going to sweep you off of my road. This is kind of like a person who is going to think that they can chase the devil out of your body. Neptune can become greedy, and Aries is about entitlement. So a lot of people will think that I deserve the best. I'm entitled for everything. I do not care about others. I do not care about others suffering, for example. It's all about me. I have a mission that I want to accomplish. Neptune, a mission, an accomplishment is Aries. Yes, I think on one hand, this is great because many people will come to terms with who they are. They're going to feel really inspired to chase their own dreams. But we should not forget that there are others involved as well in our life. You know what? This is really telling me because Neptune is the planet of romanticism, and in the sign of Aries, that's pretty much about masturbation. I think more and more divorce are gonna be happening. People will not be willing to kind of form connections, unfortunately. On a global level, this could talk to us about, like a universal army. So the unification of armies. Or the army dissolves, kind of disappears completely. Well, to be frank, I can hardly imagine that. So I think we're going to have a world army where countries will, kind of like the NATO, or maybe NATO will fall apart. Now that's a possibility as well. Neptune, it's the non-visible. Sometimes it's the non-existent something. And Aries is chasing that. So I'm chasing something that doesn't even exist. Of course, Neptune is very delusional. You want to be yourself so badly that anything that comes in my way, I'm gonna kill that. Aries has got that killing instinct. Just think about the animals, what they do when they are hungry. So I have a vision. I want to win at all costs. I need to achieve that. And I do not care who or what I need to sacrifice. It's kind of like you are with me or you are my enemy. This might become quite a big topic actually, because Saturn is going to be there as well. Of course, this message will be that all these are for the better world. But when you say no to it, you end up being a criminal. You're going to get convicted. I think crime will increase quite significantly. Gun violence, shooting, it's all in the name of kind of like gods, all in the name of someone. I got ordered to kind of do that. Or I'm doing it because a loaf of bread costs $20, for example, and I cannot pay for it. It really looks like that we are talking about the birth of an ideal world with this. So a lot more democracy. But by the end of it, it looks to me that it's going to fade away, unfortunately. Because Aries is also the dictator. So it looks like the kind of like, what we're going to have that kind of like one governmental system, for example, and the top of that is a dictator type of person. Also, with Neptune, this could talk to us about the assassination of a dynasty, for example, or a war for a better world. And we only go into the war as we are suffering. But this is also an illusion because there are some underlying motives behind it. We just cannot see it. So this aspect really wants a spiritual awakening and seeing what's right, what's right in front of you, and also looking at what is not right in front of you. If you look at this chart, you know what? Let's just look at the entry. Mercury retrograde is on 29 degree. So this is analyzing the invisible. That's what that Mercury will want for us for the next 14 years. That Mercury, I feel like it's highly important. It's kind of like imagine a world leader who wants to be seen as a hero, want a book written about them, but they also have their selfish motives as well. They have got their own agenda, and that's something connected to power. Imagine also that someone gets like kept captive, for example, in prison, and we want them to be freed. So we go and fight for that reason. So it really could talk to us about a world leader who is going to be captured too. But of course, on a personal level, this ignites your own passion as well. When you want something, you can really put your mind to it and then you can actually achieve it. Especially with Saturn also being there as well, which gives shapes and forms, it crystallizes that. So this is the hero who wants to bring salvation to the world. And it's going to come with a lot of martyrhood. But I think we must wake up to reality. Aries Antisha is actually in the sign of Virgo. And that's also reality. And Saturn will be there as well. We need to see things clearly. Thinking about that Antisha, if you do not know what it is, I have a video about it somewhere on my YouTube channel. Check that out. But Virgo is the slavery, while Aries is about individuality. So what it tells me is that, what the workforce is going to be changing quite significantly. Quite significantly. Uh, um, what I'm seeing is that these bigger companies going to start struggling to find employees because people are going to be more self-employed. People are going to be growing stuff at home. People are going to be gardening and all those type of things because you're going to be looking at yourself rather than looking at others. Also, this could talk to us about death of kingdoms. People might go into war to be able to be free. This is about the war for freedom. Last time when Neptune was in Aries, Uranus was in Gemini too, by the way. It was, well, two times. One is 1697 to 1711. We had loads of wars in Europe, especially around England and Spain. Actually, this was the time of the birth of Great Britain because there was this unification between England and Scotland, and then England got tired of fighting Scotland all the time, so they just unified. And then one more time, 1861, 1874, Uranus was also in the sign of Gemini. Civil War, US, voting rights for males, and the slavery stopped in USA as well. There were other things too, the birth of dynamite, obviously, the guns. But at that time, we had the unification of Germany and Italy. Red Cross was founded. The Yellowstone Park opened. Uh, we had this advanced the rights of African Americans being granted freedom in 65, citizenship in 68, and in 1870, the right to vote. Unfortunately, this ended up with a massacre, though. But the other thing, Canada was founded, actually. Neptune was in Aries or Libra for every US Uranus in Gemini return. So interesting. Canada was always affected. So this could talk to us about the unification of Canada, for example, with US. I don't think that would be happening, but I'm just giving a kind of like an alternative here. Neptune in Aries, the Vatican always also comes up. So it's kind of like the rebirth of the Bible, really. It kind of feels like to me that the Bible is going to be rewritten or modified or, something the Vatican is going to be doing. Quite a big one, actually. But, I mean, it could even talk to us about the death of the Pope as well, and even an assassination attempt against the Pope. Even I looked at that the Neptune. The last Neptune and Saturn, one of the last ones, sorry, actually brought the Spanish flu. It was in the sign of Leo, though. Fire, Aries represents fever. So with Neptune in Aries, unfortunately, we're gonna see the rise of pandemics. And of course, Uranus is sextile, which I said is going to be my next video. We're going to find a cure. There's going to be a miraculous recovery there. But Neptune in Aries can represent religious fights. But we can also lose faith in leaders as well. Let's see the regulations around gun violence, who can have guns, who cannot. It kind of feels like that more and more people will have guns at home. And also on a personal level, what does courage mean to you? I feel like it has all started already, all of it, because we had the nodes and Chiron in Aries now for a while. I also looked at the World War II. We had nodes in Aries and Libra, just reversed. Do I really feel that? And I have to apologize. I wanted to do that at the beginning of the video, by the way, that I'm not so optimistic about these constellations. Um, but I think war is inevitable, and it could be more of a bigger one, unfortunately. But walking away from wars, Neptune is kind of like the holiday because it runs away, especially from responsibilities. So it's kind of like the fight between the brave and the coward. Shall I be brave? Shall I take risks? Or shall I just sit tight and not move? It's kind of like feeling paralyzed of moving towards something or trying to run away because I want to survive. So I feel like migration is going to become quite a major topic. It's gonna start kind of like in-house, by the way, because Mars is in the sign of Cancer. So we're gonna start seeing conflict in houses, in corporations, as well as among leaders in countries. And then probably Neptune's gonna start spreading it. Also, the other thing that came to my mind, because Aries is really about sexuality, so the sexuality seems to be dissolving here or increasing. That's why I said I think more and more divorces are going to be happening. But Aries also talks to you about toxic masculinity. And Neptune is the glamour. Neptune is kind of like, this what's the word I want to be using? Like the hot topics. The hot topic is going to be about masculinity. The machoism seems to be coming back. Big muscles, big cars. What does it mean to be a man? I think it's going to be a question. But also, Neptune, Aries kind of represents the male hormone system, and it looks like it's getting weaker and weaker. I kind of feel like with this toxic masculinity, it's kind of like people are walking on the streets. Oh, you are gay. Oh, you are straight. That type of stuff. It really feels like, or it could really talk to us about the weakening of a man as well. So therefore, the rise of female power. Neptune also drugs. And Aries kind of like the burning sensation there. That adrenaline. Drug abuse can become quite a big one. Drug dealing can become quite a big one, unfortunately, with this. But let's look at one more positive. Sport industry. It's kind of like how I'm picturing this Neptune in Aries is that water is on fire and then you are swimming there type of, stuff. So, but I think record heights with Neptune, especially with swimming and boats and all this type of stuff. With Neptune, we take photos. So it looks like like sport industry and how the sport industry is going to get delivered is going to change quite a lot, actually. I think sport industry overall goes under a huge reform. And you know what? As I said, probably there will be more categories to be able to become more gender fluid. But we can see already arguments around this right now anyway. So we know that they're going to have to do something about it, right? But also Neptune could talk to us about virtual reality as well. My idea is that the virtual reality is going to become a major topic sometimes from 27, 28 onwards. Even though we might start seeing the growth of AI now, obviously Uranus and Neptune sextile has been happening now. And Uranus wants to be upgrading, certain things. But it will peak just a little bit later on. That's from 28 onwards, and I'm going to explain that in the Uranus and Neptune sextile. Also, Neptune can represent wild animals. So hopefully this is going to get legislated, the extinction of animals. So the protection of animals as well at the same time, the two ends of Neptune in Aries. Neptune in Aries can become quite suicidal as well, unfortunately. I have no vision anymore to look forward to, so I want to give up on life. I'm giving up on my birthright. Talking about birthrights, that might be going down quite significantly as well. You know, I mean, um, how many kids we can have and all those type of things. But I talked about the toxic masculinity. You know what? It looks to me that some people will be very fleshy about their own strength. Um, and then when Neptune goes into Taurus, maybe, the chubby one is gonna be more popular. But with Neptune in Aries, it's the muscle. So sport industry will take off, in my opinion. Also, this could really talk to you about that. You know what? There is no need to feel anymore. There is no need for psychological approach and stuff like that, especially at workplace. They're gonna be like, who cares about your emotional well-being? Get things done. Aries represents manual work. So this could really talk to you about how important manual work will become. Therefore, I think less and less people will go to universities and colleges. They're going to be choosing vocational schools simply because it's going to be more well paid. And as I said, I think people are going to start growing stuff at home. They're going to be keeping animals. Aries is the hunter. So hunting animals. Hopefully this is going to get legislated. I really, really hope. I'm also thinking about, when people want to show off, they don't just show off their muscles and stuff like that. But, this is about big cars and big guns and big phones. And I want to look like that, person who has got a big phone, for example. So if you want to have it, but you don't have the money, then they're going to steal it. Otherwise, I am no one. I'm not strong enough without all those idealistic objects. So I think the future is not necessarily anymore about, becoming like a lawyer and stuff like that. I think it's going to be someone who is a painter, a carpenter, and all those type of things. It could bring, unfortunately, fire and weather conditions are changing, obviously, extreme heat, and which can cause fire, and that leads to devastation. Um, at the same time, it can also indicate to figure out what we can do to protect ourselves or to even prevent it. On a personal level, this is about fighting for your dreams. Just watch out for unrealistic expectations. This is about creative power, figuring out what your creative talents are. Do not make impulsive decisions because you can run into situations that you could have avoided just by staying calm or being a little bit more calculative. Remember, Aries rules soldiers. A soldier does not win without strategy. Also, Neptune is artistry. So new forms of art might be coming in. Spirituality, this is the purification of spirituality as well as music industry, for example. And I really hope that spirituality is going to get purified somehow. What I mean by that is that, I think we do need a school system for it or something that kind of like removes a lot of charlatans. I don't like, but anyway, you know, I think it's brilliant that people are interested in spirituality, but some should not be calling themselves, astrologers and stuff like that. That's all I'm saying, and I'm gonna be studying until I die. I know that. I've been studying for 24 years, and I usually say there is no day when I do not study, when I do not read a book or something like that, which makes me think. Yeah, definitely there's gonna be some major astrological, discoveries made, and it's going to be probably giving a new interpretation of to astrology, and then it will fascinate people, you know. And those ones who are gonna write on that topic the very first time gonna become very popular, and they're gonna be looked at as gods. Also, this could talk to you about the disconnection from reality. Hard to decide what is real and what's not. One is a very watery, uh, planet. The sign is really fiery. Those two don't match. So even from an energy level point of view, fire makes water evaporate. So it disappears eventually. We start with a bang and then it kind of calms down by the end of it, right? Because it disappears. Just boil a water, kind of like water for an hour. It's gonna go and it's gonna start burning. Water puts the fire out. So we lose interest in something. It really feels like that religion will change. As I said, maybe a new Bible is published or something like that. Or a new interpretation to Bible, or a new Bible is discovered somehow, like new chapters and so forth, you know. Um, Also, Neptune is the planet of sleep, but Aries is about action and adrenaline. It's kind of like hard to fall asleep, or I'm scared to fall asleep. Neptune is also inflation. Now, I did look up the history, I mean, historically, when Neptune is in fire signs, the inflation is extremely high, always high. Um, One of the highest one ever was in the 1970s when Neptune was in the sign of Sagittarius. When Neptune was in the sign of Pisces, actually the inflation rate started kind of lowish, and then obviously it started going back up as well. Same was in Neptune in Scorpio between 56 to 70. It was actually a very low inflation period. So historically, Neptune does okay in water signs from that point of view. But from a fire sign point of view, it is always massive. So therefore, it brings up the topic of cost of living, of course. And also the devaluation or the taxes around home environments and stuff like that, because Mars is in the sign of Cancer at the very first entry of Neptune into the sign of Aries. And this could really talk to us about, kind of like a chaos coming up in the real estate industry. Some other keywords with Neptune to kind of close it off. It's about avoiding something. So avoiding fight, avoiding to standing up for yourself, being in denial, or it's the unconditional love of a leader, putting blind faith into someone, but you should be putting your blind faith into yourself. Neptune is feeling weak, so not having strength. This is a little bit, actually, Neptune is quite tropical. So it's kind of like tropical fever. Neptune is about forgiving. Forgiving yourself. Also, you know, with Neptune, the intention matters, really. So with that Neptune in Aries, often, what would happen is that a lot of things are promised, but it's not necessarily delivered though. Because by the end of it, Aries loses, the strength to carry out what they started. Neptune is about caring for others. Aries actually cares for themselves. But Neptune doesn't like rules. Aries doesn't like rules either. So this is about fighting against rules as well. Neptune actually distorts the truth very often. With Neptune, we focus on the inner world, on an inner peace. Aries actually fights um, for peace as well, in a way, fights for a reason. So surely there is this inner kind of like stress that is leading people to having to learn to stand up for themselves. Neptune wants to be accepted. So this is, and then Aries is about individuation. So this is about, about Taiwan and even California. I read it recently that California wants to become, a country themselves. It's about freedom, just like with Neptune in Aries, that was very much the end of slavery. Right? So same here, just with countries probably. This could really talk to us about how the NATO is going to fall apart, or even the European Union, or certain type of, kind of like connections that maybe it's Scotland and the Great Britain, the United Kingdom, and so forth might be falling apart. English territories tends to be a big topic with Saturn and Neptune. Sorry, with Neptune. And with Saturn and Neptune, Russia comes into the picture, but I'm going to be talking about that, next week. Neptune is a little bit like a Peter Pan. It's a little bit immature, and Aries is also immature. So kind of like, from a sexual point of view, this is the premature ejaculation. So what we do is we just shoot the gun out of our pockets, right? And without thinking, Neptune spreads rumors and gossips. Very irrational decisions. Neptune rules oil and pharmaceutical companies. So this could talk to us about a big oil kind of like rug that is going to unfortunately blow up. Neptune is fishing, sailing as well. Um, yeah. So, guys, this is briefly Neptune in Aries. I think you will hear about Neptune in Aries a lot more from me as well next year, of course, because there is a lot more to talk about this. Obviously, with the entry chart, I just wanted to kind of focus on that Neptune. But it's also very important to start looking at, for example, Mars. And I'm seeing a Moon and Mars square, for example, in this chart. So this is a mutual reception, of course, and that could have a danger to it. This is really rebellious people who are fed up. So I cannot forget about that. Also, it's very interesting that pretty much we've got a new moon happening around that time too. So it's surely about new beginnings. Yeah, interesting times. And the other one is, which I've seen, and I have to mention that too, Psyche, which I made a video about before, but that's right on the sun. And Psyche was fighting for love. And she had to go through all those trials to be able to get her partner back. I also do not like Pandora. actually on 28 degree of Cancer. But anyway, so a lot to work through here. Okay, but I'm going to be breaking this down for you definitely closer to the time though. Okay, so I don't want to overwhelm you with a lot of information for now. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.